College of Canada. They are part of a new generation of exceptional women and men ready to serve our country with distinction. You have chosen to step up
$1 million Indians
and serve your country, and we could not be more proud of you. Thank you for your example. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your love of this extraordinary country. And mostly, thank you for everything you will do for us in the coming years. Congratulations to the class of 2020. Yes,
no, I know your phone number because I took your phone out your purse. What's your name?
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll start the phone questions today.
Jamie Kazhagan, APTN, line open. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Sorry, Mr. Prime Minister, I was going to take a goddamn shower. Wasting water and all that.
Protecting their members. Particularly in Manitoba's kiosk. You have Fox Lake creating a blockade. And I'm wondering, do you think, specifically Fox Lake, do they have the right to protect their community members like this?
I think every community needs to make sure they're taking decisions to protect their members. But I think there are many ways of going about it. We need to make sure that all different orders of government, including Indigenous governments, are working together with the same goal, which we all share, which is keeping Canadians as safe as possible, recognizing that certain communities and certain individuals are more vulnerable. And I certainly know that across the country there have been excellent and constructive conversations between Indigenous and non-Indigenous leadership in areas of overlap so that we can move forward in a way that protects Canadians, but also allows for a progressive return to normality. Je pense que c'est extrêmement important.
I believe that it is extremely important for all communities to take all the necessary decisions for the purpose of guaranteeing the security and the safety of our citizens. And I believe that there are in the country Indigenous and non-Indigenous adjacent communities which are discussing the best modalities and best ways of protecting their own populations. And we all share the same desire to be able to check any spread of COVID-19 and particularly to protect our most vulnerable citizens.
Yes, thank you. And again, I know I spoke to you about this yesterday, but questions again concerning early release of prisoners, and more specifically, we have been asking God for about a month now from a number of released inmates that have been released early from federal prisons. We've been trying quite successfully, but I'm wondering, do you have, can you confirm that inmates are being released early, and do you know when we'll get these numbers?
Corrections Canada has from the very beginning taken extremely seriously the responsibility of keeping both inmates and staff safe in their institutions during this pandemic. We have taken a number. They have taken a number of steps in terms of reducing mobility between prisons, increasing the access for protective measures, and in certain cases looking at release conditions. Minister Blair will have more to answer on that.
Thank you, operator. Next question.
Thank you. Merci. Next question, Stuart Thompson, National Post, line open.
Hi, Prime Minister. Thanks for taking the question. I'm just hoping to get a sense of your government's thinking around a potential second wave of infections in the fall. I know there's some concern in provincial governments that Canadians might not take to a second lockdown, or maybe even a third or a fourth if it comes to that. Could be for mental health reasons, or economic security reasons, or just a kind of exhaustion. So I'm just curious, is this something that you are also worried about?
I think one of the things we know is that in pandemics there are usually second waves. The question that we're very much focused on is, as that second wave begins, or as we start to see resurgences in a reopened economy, how quickly are we able to contain them and control them? And that comes down to the scale of testing, the scale of contact tracing we're able to have right across the country. That's why the federal government has stepped up in its offer to provinces to support them in massively scaling up testing capacity and contact tracing capacity. We know, particularly in those areas that are still working to get the spread of the virus under control, it is going to be important to increase testing now, as we're seeing in those areas, but also make sure that as we move forward through the summer and obviously into the fall, we are ready to act extremely quickly so that the population at large won't be in situations of having to go back into confinement. But that depends on citizens doing their part. It also depends on having that testing capacity, and that's what we're moving forward on.
As a follow-up, Stuart?
Yeah, so there have been some countries that even in the first wave have managed to fend off a large amount of infections without a lockdown. I'm thinking of Hong Kong, where they've had barely any deaths, and it's mainly because of mask wearing and a really robust centralized quarantine.
Most people follow rules. Hey, if you don't follow these rules, everybody's going to get sick and die.
And maybe some other ideas that would allow you to hold off on a lockdown if infections do raise again.
From the very beginning, we have been looking carefully at what other countries have done and drawing from them on elements that we could put forward in our response that would help here in Canada. Obviously, there are many lessons. Many countries around the world got serious in their situations before we did, so we were able to make some very smart choices early on that has largely kept the pandemic within controllable levels in Canada, although there have still been far too many deaths, and we certainly grieve and mourn all of those. We know that there is more to do, and as we reopen, we know that citizens will continue to be extremely vigilant and careful about how they act, because that is going to be a key part of keeping us safe moving forward. So government will do its part, citizens, employers, employees will be doing their part. We need to continue to do everything we can to prevent the need for any further lockdowns the way we've had up till now. Nous avons depuis le début regardé ce que les autres pays.
From the outset,
Toronto, sunshine today, a high of 9.
We have adapted measures taken overseas to our own circumstances, of course. As we move to a more open and active economy, we will need to continue remaining vigilant as a government. We need to maintain an increased screening capacity and contact tracing capacity. We do, at the same time, expect everyone to do their part. We know that people don't want to have to go backwards. They don't want to have to isolate again and lock down again. So it's important for people to wear masks, maintain distancing, wash their hands regularly, be careful at work. Employers have to do their part. All of these aspects will be crucial in managing and containing a second wave without having to go back to the lockdown we've had for the past 2 months.
What lockdown?
Next question.
I've never been on a lockdown like this before.
Hello. I'd like some comments on private camps and day camps. Many believe that without financial assistance from the federal government, they will have to shut down. But economic activity is restarting. Are you going to help these camps? I think that away camps and day camps will, like any other organizations, have to make their decisions
Camps in Canada are now towards camps.
With the priority, of course, being on the safety of clients and staff. A lot of economic sectors will be in difficulty this summer because because of the tourists who won't be there, because of the trips that are being made, because of COVID-19. Federal, provincial, and territorial governments will have to reflect on ways to avoid damaging our economy too much, since after the pandemic we will want to be back full steam ahead. Yes, but to what extent do you believe that these camps are important as the economy reopens, not only for the children, not only for the teenagers who work in them, but also for the parents? As criteria loosens, these camps could be helped to hire a higher number of monitors. Are you ready to provide that assistance? I think that each region will have to consider its own circumstances. COVID is spreading more, would be spreading more in places like institutions that are more physically closed.
Donc, ces réflexions par rapport
people work close together.